Hi everybody, welcome back to Monday Night Mythbusters. Sorry we're running a few minutes late tonight, but we've got some props for tonight's talk, so we had to get them ready. Tonight we're speaking about whether your healthy food marketing, healthy food, is really fooling you, or are you smarter than that? So we're going to give you some questions, some quizzes, and see who knows what's the best options. So hi Sally, very good to see you. So this is going to be more interactive tonight, so please give us thumbs up, thumbs down. You can type in your responses. We've got all kinds of little quizzes for you. So hi Marianne and Kristen, awesome to see you guys.
Hello ladies, join us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we've got all like the experts on right now, so
right.
They're going to be able to blow this out of
you
the
guys
water.
are going to blow this out of the water. We're not going to fool you, but there are a lot of people who do get fooled by a lot of the marketing that goes on. And so I'll give you the answer right now before we even dive into it. And that is read labels, right?
Yes.
If you are a good label detective, then there's nothing that we're going to tell you tonight that you can't figure out, okay? It's all on the labels. So just read them and read them carefully. Read that small print. You want to look not only at the nutrition percentages of sugar, fiber, fat, etc., but you want to look at the actual ingredients.
Yes.
As they list everything in order of the most concentrated to the least. So the first three ingredients are generally going to be what's mostly in whatever you're eating. And if you're finding any of the foods that we, warn you against, that sugar, the unhealthy fats, a lot of chemicals, things that you can't pronounce,
yes,
you want to think twice.
Yeah, rules of thumb, I think, to start would be looking at ingredients, and if there's half of a label covered with them, just pass. If you have to read and you're reading and you're reading and you're reading, I like to think like 5 ingredients or more. Right. And then, of course, if you run into any ingredients that your grandma would not have in her pantry that she would be cooking that with, or that you couldn't go home and make that same recipe with those ingredients. Yeah. So, you might see some gums and things like that more common today that are like a thickener, which I think in the old days would have been like cornstarch or something like that. Right. So there's a couple things like that would be, not as impactful. But, you want to really be able to dive into those labels. We talked about the healthy foods because there's so many. The marketers are really they're cueing in onto what the society likes now, right? And it's green and it's healthy. And when we see labels, we automatically associate. That's why everything says all natural and green. The labeling's green. It almost draws you to it because you think immediately it might be healthy. And the very first thing to understand about all natural is that means nothing. It's not a regulated term. So when someone says all natural on anything, people always go, well, I eat it and it's all natural. And I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Exactly, right?
What does that mean, right? And you need to know what that means. And that means, what are the ingredients? What makes this natural, So when you said natural, that's kind of the first thing goes with those rules of thumbs. Obviously, we're not trying to encourage any processed food that you're even reading ingredients and labels on.
Right, exactly.
Starting with the basics, the perimeter of the grocery
store,
your produce, your fruits, your vegetables, things like that. Your nuts, your seeds, like things that you're not going to have to worry about reading
labels.
Things
that don't have a label are going to be the most healthy, right?
Yes,
so if
first and foremost.
If they say they're healthy, then that means that there's a label. So then you want to think, do I really need this? And try to go for foods that look more like what they are in nature.
Now that leading into one of our first examples. So these are what they call vegetable thins, right? We've got vegetable thins. So it's really funny. My dad used to buy veggie chips. They're called veggie chips. Mm-hmm. And what he didn't realize is that the veggie chips were actually potato chips with some powdered veggie material.
Mm-hmm, right.
That when you looked at the ingredients, they really didn't mean that they were like these great, vegetables, organic vegetables made into chips and baked. They were potatoes with some color added through, the freeze-dried veggie powder that they would, sprinkle in there. So that's a really classic one. Now everything is vegetable thins, vegetable chips. Looking for that, you want to make sure, again, you're reading the ingredients. When I read this ingredients, enriched flour, wheat flour, reduced iron, thiamine, like the first 10 things are all canola oil, soybean oil, dehydrated vegetable blend. There's just stuff that's just stuff. It's not real food, right? It's processed in what does the Mark Hyman next to say? If it's processed in a plant, you don't eat it.
Right. If it's a plant.
If it's a plant, you eat it. If it's processed in a plant, you stay away from it.
Right.
One other one really quick with the different label claims. So these are, they're soft-baked cookies, but when you look at it, you're like, wow, this is really cool because they're gluten-free, they're dairy-free, they're nut-free, they're soy-free, they're non-GMO project verified. So like, okay, I got these at Whole Foods. My question to you, would you think this is healthy or a great option because of all of these claims? All the things we're telling you, stay away from dairy, stay away from gluten, stay away from GMOs. Okay, you go into the ingredients in this. The first ingredient is brown pure cane sugar, juice concentrate,
which is really sugar,
rice flour, which turns to sugar, date paste, which would also be sugar, vegetable oil, which is going to be a bad processed oil. So every ingredient in these, even though they probably taste good, the more claims on the label, the more I would reconsider. So if you see something that's like they're trying to get you to think it's healthy, it's exactly, Marianne. Sugar, everything turns to sugar. If it's not in there as sugar, it's going to turn to sugar.
And that kind of goes with a lot of labels. They try to tell you, for example, light dressing, light this, low fat this. If they've taken the fat out, the fat's where most of the flavor is. So if they've taken that out, then they're adding one of two other things for flavor, and that's either salt or sugar. So you can be sure that any of your low-fat items are going to have more of the fat and more of the sugar and the salt in it. So again, if you read the labels, you'll pick that up. But generally, I avoid anything that says low-fat.
Yes.
Because if I'm going to have something with fat in it, I want it to be good, healthy fat, and I want it to be full fat. That way, when I eat it, I'm satiated. I'm happy. I felt like I had whatever it was that I was looking for. And you're going to eat a smaller amount than the bigger amount you tend to eat when you're eating all the low-fat stuff, because you never quite feel like you got the flavor you were looking for.
And it's combining with, if it's got sugar in it and it's got the full fat's going to prevent as intense of a sugar spike. So it's going to help actually move that glucose through your bloodstream. So you never want to be eating something that's going to have that high carb without a little bit of protein or something to offset and kind of keep it from giving you that giant spike in your sugar.
Right. Exactly. And as a note on that, we've got a list here of all the different words for sugar, and I'll go over a few of these because you're not going to be able to read that. So
56 different names on this particular list. This
right?
is not the only list out
Obviously, cane sugar is one. Blackstrap molasses, you wouldn't have a hard time figuring that out. Confectioner sugar, date sugar. So what about diastatic malt? Does that sound like sugar? Not so much. Galactose? You might not know, but anything that ends in an OSE, ose, is gross. So glucose, sucrose, galactose, fructose, they're all sugars. So ose is gross, so stay away from that. What about muscovado? No, it doesn't sound like that would be a sugar, right?
Demerara?
Demerara is sugar, that's a brown sugar. Yeah, yeah, so a lot of people use that. But what about invert sugar? You might think that that's okay. Or treacle, right? That's all sugar. Ethyl maltitol, barley malt, glucose solids. These are all different words for different kinds of ways to sweeten something. Buttered syrup sounds very yummy, but I don't think you want that in your food. Crystalline fructose, dextrose, evaporated cane juice, fruit juice concentrate. Sounds like that could be healthy, but these are not. So watch for all of these types of words. There's about 56 different words for the different kinds of sugars, and they will use them multiple times within one label often, so that they can break up, and so you don't have to have then a sugar as one of your first three ingredients if they break it down into the different kinds of sugars. So just be aware, they're very, very sneaky.
So while we're on the topic of sugar, let's go with what some people might consider healthy would be juices. So we've got just a regular Tropicana Pure Premium 100% orange juice. The Naked juice. So you see this is a mango juice. So between these two juices and a pack of Skittles, which we all know this isn't healthy, right? So we assume there's going to be some good sugar in here. What would be your option there? So if you put in the in the response, what would you think would be the least amount of sugar between these three different types
So
of
Skittles, we've got Skittles, just good old orange juice, and a Naked juice. Naked Mighty Mango. So
come on, bites. Where are my experts?
Weigh in, experts. Okay. So Kristen says Skittles.
Kristen
is
says
have the
Skittles.
Most. Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in? Michelle says Skittles. And Marianne says Skittles.
Okay, guys, so we've got, this is the amount of sugar you find in Skittles. So you're right, tremendous amount of sugar. However, believe it or not, your orange juice has more. Not only, it has 4 grams of sugar more. The mango juice, this is your raw, naked, it's got all the claims, it's no sugar added, it's non-GMO, it's pretty, it's green, it's got fruit on the front. Mac Daddy, biggest sugar yet.
So more than the other one.
Yeah,
okay?
So this one has 68 grams of carbs and 57 sugars in this one container. So you would be better off
having your Skittles.
Potentially, I mean, having your Skittles.
For sugar.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
there might be some other nutrients in the juice. We don't want to take away
yeah,
from that.
the thing with juice is not that the juice itself from the fruit is bad. It's that the juice, this probably has what, 6 oranges?
Oh, not even.
To juice it?
No. Because they add a chemical to get more of the liquid out of the
But you would
pulp.
never eat 6 oranges.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, so eating 6 oranges as one sitting is giving that plethora of extra sugar.
Okay, sorry
so
guys.
yeah, we
missed-
flipped it.
Yeah, so you were all right, but you got it.
You were all right, yeah. So
Yeah.
believe it. So it's ironic that the Skittles would have the least amount, right? But the point is that fruit juice and even some of your teas. So this is just a Snapple tea. It's a regular peach tea, Snapple, seemingly good. There's your sugar in your Snapple. So it's shocking. Now Coke, you would imagine, would have a giant amount of sugar. So this is 1 Coke a day. 3 of these fills almost a whole quart-sized bag. So just knowing that, trying not to drink your liquids, your calories, your sugars, like all of those things, that's where you want to kind of pay attention.
Right, exactly. And hey, Janie, nice to see you dropping in. And Michelle, awesome.
Yeah, so we said the least, and
Yeah,
they
so
were all correct.
They were all correct.
So yes, Skittles, that's kind of scary.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've got some other foods here that we wanted just to go over. And if you guys are wondering about anything, you want to ask, is this food a healthy food or not? We can give you our opinion on it. But some other foods that typically people think are healthy but aren't so much, think about a turkey sandwich or a fish sandwich, right? People are thinking, oh, that's going to be healthy. So what might be wrong with those? You guys, anybody want to weigh in? What would be wrong with a turkey sandwich or a fish sandwich? Okay, so while you guys are thinking about that, I'm just going to kind of go over some of the things that are in the sandwiches. So turkey is a processed food, unless you're getting the actual turkey breast that you made yourself. But if you're buying, bread, exactly. But if you're buying the turkey processed, they actually add a lot of things to that. They add sugar and they often add gluten. And sometimes they add other chemicals to the processing. So yes, processing not so good. We're getting all kinds of chemicals that we don't want, and then often that glucose. Then you got
the bread is going to be the concern is the gluten. So obviously there's
and the
more
calories. Even if it's gluten-free bread, you're still got a lot of calories in that. And then what do you usually put on a turkey sandwich? Mayo, right? You're kind of slathering it with mayo. So that's a lot of the less healthy calories, and you're throwing cheese on it. So you start off with a good idea, and if it is home-cooked turkey, that's going to be better.
Yep.
But trying to decrease the bread, maybe use a wrap or a small piece, or just make it an open sides sandwich. Don't use the mayo, that type of thing. The other thing to think about with turkey in that processing is there are nitrates, and we want to avoid nitrates in our meats. So in the turkey and the bacon, any of your processed meats, you've got to avoid the nitrates.
So yogurt, believe it or not, I think people think if you wake up and you have your Greek yogurt and your fruit and your granola, that's like an ideal choice. And not only is it pretty significant in the carbs, which will convert to sugar, finding a yogurt that's suitable, that's not filled with sugar. And that's the biggest thing. So any of the flavored yogurts are almost always going to be a minimum of 10 to 20 grams of sugar.
Right.
If you're getting an unsweet yogurt that's from a grass-fed cow, if you're eating dairy and you're going with dairy, you're going with grass-fed. Otherwise, there's a lot of nut milk-based yogurts now. So you can get coconut milk, you can get almond milks. Again, you get them unsweet, and you can add a little extract. You can add the fruit yourself, so you're getting the sweetness there. So watching the yogurt, I could stand in Publix with 40 yogurts and find maybe 2 that are really going to be the most healthy choices.
Her point really is that it needs to be the unsweetened. You can add, if you even added a heaping teaspoon of sugar to your yogurt, you would still be adding way less than they put in there. So if you take your plain yogurt, whichever kind you want, and the fruit that you got organic, you washed it yourself and you put it in there, and you can even sprinkle it with some granola, you're going to be doing way better than buying anything pre-made.
Yeah, for sure. And like the Kite Hill, Kristen says, Kite Hill makes an almond milk, and you can put cinnamon in there. You can, like, they're so easy to jazz it up and give it like really good flavor. And it as a base, even that one unsweetened still without sugars. Yeah. I like vanilla flavored stevia drops. They're pure stevia drops, and it just gives it a little something. They have all different flavors too.
Yeah. And Michelle asks, do we recommend honey in yogurt? Well, it's ideal to not sweeten it, but if you are going to sweeten it, honey is fine. Just watch how much, right? So just a little bit versus kind of covering the bottom of the bowl with it.
Yeah, and I think it's an individual too. Like we have some people that are watching their sugar. So honey is a form of sugar, and sugar is sugar. So if you are being conservative with the sugar, or then no. But for somebody that wants to add a little bit, and then agreed, yeah,
you're better off adding that little bit than buying the sweet,
the fake. Yeah, you don't want to be going with any of the chemical sweeteners.
And so it's always a matter of kind of gradation, right? Doing the best that you can in any particular situation. And so processed is the worst.
Cinnamon's good.
Your separately bought yogurt with maybe a little sweetener of sugar or honey or agave or whatever you want added, or the best would be a nut butter, like a coconut yogurt with your own fruit, no added sweetener. Just use cinnamon,
just
use
regular
vanilla.
nuts. I mentioned granola too, and granola can be like a real culprit in all of this, because granola typically has a lot of carbs and a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Granola can be very easily made on your own through it's just nuts and seeds and different coconut flakes and pumpkin seeds. And I make one. There's a great recipe that, I mean, it's to die for. You can eat it as cereal. You can eat it sprinkled on or just as a snack. But always there are so many better options to some of the commercial granolas, because then you're eating this breakfast that's filled with carbs, and you're setting yourself up for like a dip in your blood sugar very soon. Michelle was asking about cinnamon. Cinnamon's fantastic. I would go in an organic with any of your spices. Ceylon cinnamon. Ceylon is it's supposed to be a little bit better on the blood sugar. But cinnamon in general is known to help with blood sugar and managing blood sugar.
Right, and that's, you can use lots of that.
Yeah, so
other obvious ones, excuse me, energy drinks. We can all kind of imagine that those would not be healthy. They have a lot of sugar in them. They have a lot of the caffeine in them. And they tend to make us kind of more wired, and we tend to get the munchies, so you end up eating other things. So energy drinks are definitely
not super great on your cortisol either.
No, not good for a lot of things. I would just try to stay away from them, especially as a mixture with your alcohol, because that is a millennial thing now. They just have their energy drink with their alcohol. They stay awake longer. They can get buzzed and drink even more. Not a healthy thing to do. Other things that people might think are healthy. So trail mixes. What about trail mixes? Where do you guys weigh in on trail mix? Who thinks it's healthy? Give me a thumbs up. Who thinks it's not healthy? Give me a thumbs down.
It's going to be similar to granola too, right? Except it's probably got the chocolate chips.
Well, so this is definitely the thing. So when you're looking at trail mixes, you want to look what's in it. If you've made it yourself, you know exactly what's in it. If you're putting dry fruit in there, dry fruit has a lot of sugar in it, and it has the sulfates. Sulfates aren't really so healthy. So the nuts can be really good as long as there's not too much salt and they haven't flavored it and added a whole bunch of sugar to it, because a lot of trail mixes get flavored. So you want to stay away from the flavored nuts, the sugared nuts, the salted nuts. But if you're getting something that has the raw nuts without the sugar, without the salt, a little bit of the dried fruit might be okay, but obviously stay away from chocolate chips in your trail mix. It's kind of like it will give you energy, and if you really are on a hike and you're not going to be eating anything else, that's not so bad. But if you're using it as a day-to-day kind of snack in between your meals, and you're not out hiking and expending thousands of calories working out, then it's not going to be your best option.
Yeah. So people, Michelle, I believe, was asking, it moved up, so I lost her, but about the difference with the fruit sugar and how much sugar. So the difference, fruit sugar is primarily fructose, right? So your body can't use it as much, but you get so much more bang for your buck when you're dealing with fruit because you're getting the fiber and you're getting the nutrients. So you're getting benefit from that. The sugar is not able to be used by your body like a glucose would. It's metabolized by your liver.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit different. But fruit, to me, fruits and vegetables are not all one. So when they're saying 9 servings of fruits and vegetables, you really want to top heavy that with the vegetables. You don't need to have 6 servings of fruit and 2 vegetables. I would flip that around and maybe keep the fruit in moderation. Mm-hmm. And depending on the types of fruit, so the higher glycemic fruit, and then also what is your blood sugar doing. If you have issues with blood sugar, you don't want to be eating 5 servings of fruit. But, if you're active and you're doing whatever, fruit, is obviously great. It's nature's
candy. It's going to be much better than a chocolate bar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, always making those kind of choices. And somebody else asks about G2. So the G2, if I'm understand correctly, that usually has a stevia in it. I think that they make
Gatorade. It's the Gatorade 2 one. I'm not sure the ingredients.
Right. I think there is one with stevia that would be better, but water. Why not just put some lemon or some strawberries and some water? And electrolyte water can be good, but the vitamin water throws a whole bunch of sugar in there. So again, when you read those labels, you'll see it.
Yeah, so G2 is a type of electrolyte. So Gatorade obviously is promoted for that reason, for fitness and athletes and things like that. So electrolyte water is basically adding in some of the minerals that you might be depleting when you're sweating or you're doing sports, so your sodium, your potassium. It depends. I mean, if you're an endurance athlete, those are things that are going to be, if you're going and doing an hour class, you're probably going to be fine just having your, some salt on your food a little bit later, like some people take that, that need for the electrolytes and things like that in that form. You're better off using some natural minerals and things that you can put on your food.
Coconut water would be a great option.
Yeah, for endurance. For endurance,
right.
And again, watch the coconut waters. There's a ton of them that aren't just coconut water. They're full of sugar. The added sugar. There's things that are so great independently, and I don't know why they feel that more is better, but so many.
Oh, you know why? It's because the sweeter they make it, the more likely you are to buy it and buy lots of it, and then their market share goes up. So this is all about addicting us to their product so that we buy it and they make more money. So a lot of these things are great when you do it individually, but you're paying a lot for the convenience because you're really losing your health by giving up that, by not doing it yourself and just going for convenience as the god rather than healthy.
Yeah, and if I could get crazy on the big food conversation, but there are things in ingredients that are specifically designed to induce addiction and to mess with your brain chemicals.
They do it very well.
And they study that. These food companies are actually studying that, and they put them into their products, and it's very real. It's a very real problem.
And the cool thing is, and I didn't know this before I started looking into all of this, but they actually use perfumery. So places that make perfumes, they use the scents because so much of what we taste and how we're get addicted to things is about the smell of it, the aroma. So they'll do a lot with aroma. So that's a whole bunch of chemicals, right? Because it's not the real foods in there.
That's crazy.
So there's a lot of fragrances in our foods so that we have that appeal. So we think about when we were children and about happy memories. And they're really tied in. They really get in there in terms of what makes us want more of something. And it's not just about nutrition, it's about all the memories and the social connection and that type of thing.
Yeah, there's a couple I wanted to just wrap up with, and then we can, but feel free guys if you want to just jump in with a couple that you had. But like anything when you see yogurt covered, those types of snacks, canned foods, being careful with some of the canned foods. We had baked beans on here because baked beans are typically, especially canned, they're added maple or sugar, and the maple's not going to be your homemade maple syrup local, from the farmer's market. It's going to be like a real sugary thing. So things that you would think, and probably in their natural state, would be totally healthy. But when they just put the names of them on these packages, and then they start to completely, suddenly you're not even eating the food at all. You're eating like this fake thing that's just not even, it's been through so many processes. And even the word fortified, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you see fortified a lot. And basically it's like they extract the nutrients and then they put the nutrients back in, like fake ones. So it's like, you know, that's what fortified means. Like they're fortifying it with vitamin C. You see that a lot on cereal boxes.
Well,
and
and
things like
wheat,
that.
all of our wheat is fortified because it's when the processing we take out so much of the good nutrients, a lot of those B vitamins, so they have to add them back in.
Yeah.
And actually some of those vitamins aren't even naturally in the wheat, but because 100 years ago people would eat a lot of that and then get pellagra and other diseases because they didn't have enough of some of those B vitamins, so then they started adding it in, and now everything white's got all the fiber taken out of it. That's why it's not healthy. So
Yeah.
then they want to add it back in, but eat the full foods and you'll get them anyways. And one of the other things I wanted to touch on is energy bars, protein bars. So some of them can be very healthy. Some of them are great.
Well, a couple of them.
But a lot of them are really just glorified sugar. So again, looking at the label and looking at the ingredients, you should have at least 2 grams of fiber, if not more, and 8 grams of sugar or less.
Yeah, I've had a hard time. I've yet to find an protein bar, energy bar. So your bars have protein. They could be like a higher fat content and be more energy driven, or they could be more carbs and fat, or they can be more where you're looking for protein. The problem with the ones that are protein, they're filled with a bunch of fake ingredients. There's a lot of faux fibers. There's a lot of different rice flours and things like that. And then the ones that are more clean, that are got like the fruits for the ingredients and the nuts and things like that, they just tend to overdo the sugar. They put the maple and the fruit and all of a sudden you're back up to 30 grams of sugar, even more carbs, in something that would have started out to be relatively healthy. So there's really no perfect bar. Depending on your goals, and if it's you're rushing and or traveling or something, yes, there's a place for them. But definitely, like Marianne's asking about Layer bars, that's a great example. Kind bars have not as much sugar. Some of them don't have as much sugar.
Have to read the ingredients.
I had one in my little sample thing down there. That's the coconut. I think it's in that box, coconut almond or something, and that one was one of the less amount of sugars. And then when you look at the ingredients, you're looking at the nuts, you're looking at the coconut, you're looking at it. It's not a lot of added sugar, right? But you still want to look at the total. Crave bars, I'm not familiar with the ingredients of those, Kristen. The Layer bars are, I think, mostly fruit and nuts. Am I correct, Marianne, in saying that? So again, it's going to be looking at the amount of carbs and how much fiber are those carbs. So if you've got 20 grams of carbs, and 11 grams of real fiber, not faux fiber or that added.
So this is a Kind bar here that we're looking at. And so it's low sodium, only 25 milligrams of sodium, which is relatively small. And then no cholesterol, 3 grams of protein, 12 grams of sugar though. And that's in one full bar. So that's still a fair amount of sugar.
So the sugar's it comes almonds, coconut honey, glucose syrup, rice flour, soy lectin, chicory root fiber, sugar, sea salt. So the second ingredient, or the third ingredient's honey, the fourth is glucose, all these are sugar. The rice flour will convert your soy lectin, that's lecithin. And then you've got the sugar as one of the last ingredients. So there's quite a few ingredients in there.
Right.
The Crave. Okay, so the meat-based bars, most of those are going to be pretty clean if you're looking for a high-protein snack. Looking for the nitrate, some of them, making sure they're grass-fed, making sure the protein itself is coming from a quality animal. So if it's a chicken, if it's whatever, you want to make sure it's pasture-raised. But yeah, some of those meat are good alternatives. It came back. So this is a Vega bar, plant-based. The Vega bar this one has 34 grams of carbs with 18 grams of sugar. So when I look at the ingredients list, it is so long, I can't even start to read it. It's just got a lot of stuff.
And then you've got a Cliff bar here that's 44 grams of total carbs and 20 grams of sugar.
Now those you see on the front, they say natural, they say oatmeal and raisins and things like that, but you've got to remember at the end when they've added the sugar in, plus they've got a significant amount, enough amount of raisins to
right. And so
have that
here,
kind of sugar content.
our first ingredient is organic brown rice syrup, and then organic rolled oats, which again becomes a sugar, organic raisins, which is very sweet. Then you've got some soy protein. Then you've got cane syrup, which is sugar.
So that would be more of an energy bar, because immediately you can see by those ingredients that those are going to be carbs that are going to convert to glucose that need to be burned quickly. So you want to use those
if you're doing a run, this could be useful. You need some
it's
extra
all
energy.
dependent on how much you're, everybody's fitness level and activity levels.
Right. So just be cognizant of how much sugar you're getting in your diet, because you're drinking a lot and you're eating a lot without knowing that things are so sweetened.
Yeah.
If you even look at crackers, like I mentioned the vegetable thins, if we look in the ingredients, there's going to be sugar in that.
There are sugar in here.
Yeah.
And it's coming from, I'm looking to see actual sugar. So it's coming from high fructose corn syrup.
Why would you put high fructose corn syrup
in a cracker?
You want the salty flavor. You don't want the sweet. But we have been so conditioned to expecting that sweet that obviously sells, or they wouldn't put it in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So just awareness. It's always about awareness and reading your labels. And thank you guys so much for all the participation tonight. So if you have other ones that you want to throw out there, we can answer them throughout the next few days or whatever. And then share. If you found this helpful, share it with some friends. And we look forward to next week when, again, we're always taking ideas. So we're getting some of these ideas from you guys. So throw them out there and we'll bring topics to you as they come in.
As they come in, absolutely. So we'll see you
Thank
next
you, Michelle.
Monday. And again, like Leslie was saying, feel free to share. Check out the Facebook page. Check out my website, CarolynGeorgeMD.com, and there's a YouTube channel.
And a reminder, this week is the Toxic Free Living.
Yes.
So that link that we sent when we did that one, it's on the website as well.
Yeah, it's on my website here.
Yeah, check out the Toxic Free Living. There's going to be tremendous interviews this week and a lot to learn about some of the stuff that we're living in among.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You're soaking in, bathing in. Anyways, until then, guys, have a great week.
Have a great week. Bye.